Welcome to another episode. It's Annalena here, your host, and today you have the pleasure to have me for a solo episode. It's going to be a little bit shorter, more to the point, because I did receive a really important question recently from one of you amazing listeners, which was about, if you have your own business and you have been actually human design in your business as a human design reader and coach, and you have been using the tropical human design probably as most of us have, because that's really what's out there for the most part. And you have felt this very strong pull towards the true sidereal version of human design, which is basically based on true sidereal astrology, which is what's really up straight in the sky, which is the most alignment with nature, if you ask me. If you want to have more details about this, if you're listening right now, I did a whole masterclass about what this all means, where this comes from. So it's called Integrated. I will post the link to that in the comments if you're interested. But either way, this form of human design now that is based on true sidereal astrology is called, there's a term for it called cosmic human design. It's a regular human design chart. It's just that you know that the true sidereal astrology is being used. And what happens here is that all the gates in the chart, they slightly shift in the sky. And so your human design chart looks totally different. If you're lucky, you are the same type, but most likely you have very different centers defined. You have a different type all of a sudden that your human design chart shows. You're also most likely a different profile. And I think for many people, this can be a little bit of a shock or an identity crisis. Now, this also happened on my journey because I was using human design, the traditional that's based on tropical astrology for almost 4 years. And it has been a wonderful journey. It not only changed my life and the way I approach my business, it also really impacted so many people's lives. And I truly believe that because I have seen these people change and shift, right? Also with the tropical human design. Because in essence, so human design, let's talk about what it's not here for. It's not here to put you in a box. It's not here to limit you. It's not here to tell you what you have to do or should do. It's more so here to affirm something that you already know about yourself deep inside, but you're not giving yourself permission. So in a way, it's a tool to empower you to fully be yourself, to be your authentic self, and share the gifts that you have with the world, because I think that's really a responsibility all of us have. So now with astrology, you may also know in astrology, we have a lot of different types of astrology. We have tropical astrology, Vedic astrology, and in Vedic, we have a lot of different ways how to calculate things. And for some reason in astrology, we are cool with it, that you may have a different sun sign in Vedic than in tropical astrology, and lots of other different things in the charts. But the thing with human design is because we have these 5 types and these profiles, we can often get very attached to that and see it very black or white. That's kind of where I also see the shadows with human design come up when we as humans start to think, oh, if I'm this type, I am completely different than all these other 4 types. So if I'm a projector, I have absolutely nothing in common with a generator or a manifestor whatsoever. And this is just something that I have found not to be true at all, because I have really started to understand the full picture of human design. Also, I learned on my journey that in the very beginning, there were no types in human design. This is just something they did later on to kind of simplify it and also to market it better into the world, which is always easier, right? Because we humans, we like to belong to a group, if that makes sense. Or like, yeah, I'm here, I'm belonging to the manifesting generators. And that's also a beautiful thing, because we like to belong, because oftentimes growing up, we felt like we didn't belong, or we were not loved, right? And when we connect with a group of people that associate with this type in human design, like for me, it was first in tropical, the manifesting generator, because I always questioned myself for all these multiple passions that I had, and I thought there was something wrong with that. And at the time when I found, or human design found me, it was such a blessing that came into my life that I finally gave myself permission to play with all these different passions I have, instead of trying to force myself into one thing, that I got easily bored of. And oh my God, it was a game changer. But then over the years, I started to see also the shadow aspects of it, that's then sometimes I saw, for example, a generator, and they came to me and like, yeah, like I don't like being a generator because I also have multiple passions and I feel like I can't, or even a projector. And I started to learn these gates also in the human design chart in particular, and the channels. And I saw that all humans are multi-passionate in a way, you know. And at some point in life, as we play with our multiple passions and we just embrace that part of us, which can also sometimes be highly indecisive, we find something more specific, something more narrow, right? And for some people, it happens early on, and some people, it takes more years to get there. The other thing with a manifester, I started to learn that, you know, not only manifestors are here to initiate. And then I also started to see a big shadow where there was almost like a little bit of a fight going on in the human design community about like, yeah, no, generators shouldn't initiate anything. This is just for the manifestors, or projectors are the only ones that are here to guide the others, and the generator types have to work for the projectors. And I was like, woo, hold on. So I saw a lot of the shadows that the human design types actually brought up, while still I personally love also the confirmation that it brought into my life. But over the years, as I dove deeper into my human design experiment, that's something I want to just highlight. Human design is an experiment, right? It's not something that's set in stone and you have to follow. And I learned that I could relate in some way to all of the types. Why there was a stronger emphasis at this point for many years for the manifesting generator, but also in particular the projector archetype. That's why I actually call the types now archetypes, because there is so much overlap for me. I also, because my incarnation cross is a fully projected energy. It's the right angle cross of the Sphinx on my tropical chart. And it was all about guiding people. And that's really what I do a lot of my work. And if I would go to the T, what maybe some human design books or teachers may say, I would be like, okay, because I'm a manager and I cannot guide people, that can only be the projectors, right? So it created a lot of division, a lot of hierarchy, and in a way, like a corrupted way of how we see it. And as I studied also then deeper the gene keys, I realized these are all the shadows. All the shadows are coming up with the five types, and even sometimes with the authorities. Like people started to believe that only people with emotional authority have to weigh to make big decisions. I can tell you that people with an undefined solar plexus like myself, you know, I also have to wait sometimes. And it's really good for me when I make big decisions, because I can actually amplify a lot of emotions all around me. And even more so, I need to wait it out. So I just realized that we can easily, as humans, fall into black or white thinking with human design, where we start to think, I have to make all of my decisions like this, and I cannot do anything like any of the other types or any of the other authorities. While in reality, this is my obviously observation from my experiment, is like I get to taste all characteristics of all the types. I get to taste even all of the authorities in the human design chart. And I had already started to teach this in a way with my clients, where I looked more at a chart from the energies, the gates and the channels defined. And for example, most energies in the chart are actually projected energies. That's why I think everyone deeply also resonates with the projector archetype. You know, where it becomes difficult is when we have this conception of like, oh, the undefined sacrals don't have energy and only the defined sacral has nonstop energy, which is also a complete myth. I mean, I could do a whole podcast about this. So all of this for me actually brought this realization, like I have to really redefine human design. I no longer resonate with how it has been traditionally taught. And I mean, it's an evolving system. You know, everything changes. And just because something was delivered in a way 30 plus years ago, almost 40 years ago, you know, doesn't mean it cannot ever change. I mean, the gene keys in itself are also an evolution of human design. And in the gene keys, we don't have five types, we don't have authorities, and it works just as beautiful. So going back to the question, if you are a human design reader and you have been working with your clients and you find yourself really, if you're being honest with yourself, totally in integrity with yourself, like, no, I really resonate at this point much more with the true sidereal version, the cosmic human design. That has really happened for me because I feel so much more aligned with everything in my chart. It's actually, it's almost unreal because over the weeks and the month, there are new epiphanies that I get or new realizations that are so spot on with the energies in my chart and how I'm showing up in my personal life and also especially in my business. So one of the things is I have a lot of starting energy. I have always had this in my chart. And now my sun gate is at the root center. The root center is this pulse where everything begins. And I help people launch podcasts. I help people get their business started and get out of hiding and getting stuck in perfectionism and actually getting over themselves and finally doing the thing so they can build a business, so they can make an impact, right? So also the undefined centers in my chart, they now really fit like to the T. Before it was kind of, but I felt a little bit like I have to mold myself a little bit into this. And either way, so my recommendation to you is to really own it. Share your story. That's like how I did it. I just shared my story. And I didn't tell people, hey, the tropical is wrong now, because I think then we're going to have a little bit of a problem, because I myself spent over 4 years with the tropical chart and it changed my life. It was beautiful. It was exactly what I needed at this time. And as I evolve as a human, at some point, Annalena, I was ready for this truly aligned version with the cosmic human design, with the true sidereal astrology. And it was also with the astrology behind, because I pulled my astrology chart for the true sidereal and it was like, I had no more questions. It was like, yeah, that's me. And with my tropical, yeah, it was okay, but it didn't like blow my mind in a way, right? It was kind of like, but it wasn't this like, I could feel it in all the cells in my body with the true sidereal, And this big piece of confirmation again. And actually what I have also noticed now that I feel so picked up and so seen and so validated by all of this, I don't really look at my chart much anymore. It's kind of when I have a conversation with a friend, I mean, we know about human design and things, obviously, all of a sudden, like some things come up and I was like, oh yeah, I have this in my chart and oh, now I get it. And it makes perfect sense, right? So I'm no longer trying to figure it out. I'm allowing myself to just be it, and I'm being myself. And so that's the first thing. Share your story. Just be honest about it. And that's your evolution. And then also what I have been doing is that I didn't like right away say, oh, I'm no longer doing tropical readings. I still offered them, but I started to also offer true sidereal readings to invite people, if they want to, into a new perspective and see if there's even a stronger sense of alignment there for them than was in the tropical chart, And then a lot of people actually came to me and they asked me like, oh my God, thank you so much. Because I have to be honest with you, like there was this one thing in my tropical chart that I tried to fit myself into, And then I also started to look at both charts, the tropical chart. And if you really have the training and the knowledge with that, you start to see the themes in the chart. And I also really see a lot of commonalities in the tropical and the true sidereal chart. And in a way, what I also find when I have these readings with people, which so far have been incredible, mind-blowing, oh my gosh, fantastic, where we look at the tropical and then we also look at the true sidereal and we create the path, we create the transition, like how it's connected. And it's almost a story of your own evolution, how you have been with this tropical chart for this time, and now you're ready to take the next step into this other version. And this may be for some people. We have to understand that we are all different, we are all unique. That's also what human design has taught us. It's the science of differentiation. And some people may want to stick with tropical astrology and tropical human design and are not interested in anything else. It's not to make them wrong. gosh, if this gives them the validation they need and share their gifts and talents with the world and make a living from this, it's a win-win for everyone. And if other clients are like, you know what, I like to work with both charts, that's great. I actually have several clients that love to play with both charts. They're like, wow, here I really find myself there, here I find myself there. And then also now I have more and more clients that are actually ready to let go of the tropical chart. And they're like, no, I feel this true sidereal chart so much more. And I'm fully ready for it. Like it's like I have outgrown the other version of it, right? And the other thing in human design, and again, if you're a human design reader, this is something I hope you are familiar with. You can run a chart for every solar return. You can run a chart for the Saturn return, for the Uranus opposition, for the Chiron return, for these life cycles. And there you will also have a different chart. And it's not about, when I learned it, actually, it's not about now your different type. It's more so about what are the energies, especially in the conscious part of your design, right? So maybe the sun gate now that is there has a big relevance for you. And what this also shows is that we humans, we are multifaceted. We are not just this one chart. We can be anything we want to be. And we change and we evolve. And this is also something we find in the gene keys and everywhere in human design, that the only constant there is change, you know? And as long as people are empowered to trust themselves, if this is human design, if this is gene keys, if this is the Enneagram, or what other modality you're using, it's amazing. We cannot expect that just because I have this experience, everybody has the same experience. I cannot, right? Now, for you as a practitioner, coach, human design reader, you have to, I said it before, but I feel like it's worthwhile to repeat it. You have to do what feels right to you. Because I know for myself in the very beginning, it really felt scary because, I mean, I had built a business which creates my income to support my living, right? That's what I do. And I was like, damn, if I'm just gonna now go this other route that feels so right for me, I'm scared that people are gonna scream at me, they're gonna call me fraud or whatever. And maybe some people do, you know, but I have to stay true to myself. That I cannot have a business where I feel like I'm lying to myself. I mean, that's the biggest rejection or fear of rejection manifested in the 3D form, you know? So follow that. And I also especially find that when we have the courage to do something that feels uncomfortable, which this probably will be, there's so much magic on the other side. I cannot tell you how many people have messaged me in my DMs on Instagram and also per email and also my YouTube videos thanking me over and over again that I had the courage to do this. So many people. And I had here on my podcast, I had many people also tell me actually how they had already been working with this, but they felt like they had to hide it because there's a very strong traditional human design community out there and it's beautiful. But once there is this energy of like, oh, everything that Ra said is the only truth and everything else a complete BS. I mean, I'm like, because this is the same that I have personally experienced with religions growing up. Like anytime where there was this like only the way we do it is right and everything else is wrong, I never resonated with this. This is actually why I went so much into the spiritual world, you know? And then I started to see it in human design again. There was like this division and this is right and this is wrong. Like with religions and the spirituality that we are using here, when we can accept that we are all different and there may be different ways that resonate with us, I think then it's okay. And if the overall intention is always for love to win, you know, and to empower humans to share their gifts with the world, to make a living from that, to really be of service in the world so we can make this a better life experience and regenerate the earth as well for all of us collectively, it's a win-win. And I don't care what religion is helping you with that or what spiritual tool is helping you with that. I think that's kind of where we're missing the point a little bit, you know, where we're like, it has to be this one way. And I think when you can go into this view of seeing it, which is very, so look into the 17th gene key here. I think it's called farsightedness, where we can really like, yeah, we all have our opinions, and I'm sharing right now my opinion with you. Also, I ask you to question my opinion, right? It's not like the ultimate truth. This is my truth. And I invite you to come up with your truth. Like, how can you make it work for yourself and stay in integrity with yourself, right? So, and also see this as an opportunity for change, because I know for myself, like things can be easily get boring. And I mean, this whole true sidereal has brought in so much new energy, so many new ideas and opportunities into my business, and has also attracted so many new people into my business as well, because there are a lot of people out there that love the whole true sidereal conversation. The other thing is that in general in life, people tend to go with what's popular, right? Now, the funny thing is, we want to stand out, right? We also want to be seen. So when we go with what's popular, what everybody else is doing, I mean, it's like, imagine you see like a river and there's all these like hundreds of fishes that all look the same. Well, I mean, probably nobody's gonna see you. I mean, maybe accidentally somebody finds you, right? Because there's a lot of people these days that are teaching traditional human design, which is great. It's not to judge it. But if you're that one fish that is, instead of blue, like bright pink, because you are like, I'm gonna do it differently, I'm gonna go the true sidereal way. Oh, everybody, you're gonna start to stand out, right? And of course, usually what happens in society, like, because people, even though it changes where growth is and where expansion is and where quantum leaps are eventually, like, we are so comfortable staying in the comfort zone and staying with what is familiar. So in human design, the tropical version of human design is what's safe and familiar to all of most of us. So now we're starting to have some of these crazy people like me that are, all right, I'm gonna do it different because I'm following my heart, using what I have learned in human design, by the way. So ask yourself that, and this will require a lot of courage, and you're going to probably go through a lot of fears with that as well. I can tell you I have. And there's also something I want to share with you from Kabbalah. Kabbalah is also part of human design. And when it comes to like prosperity and success, they say very clearly that, when something is like too easy, where it's too comfortable, usually it's not going to be really successful in the long run. But if something is like a little bit hard in the beginning, and especially in terms of like overcoming some fears and where the ego wants to really hold us back, because when you trust yourself, your body, that is not always the easy path in the beginning. There may be some struggle, there may be some resistance, because there may be some people that are going to disagree with you. And that's also often like when people start to disagree with you, that's actually a good sign. I mean, I had this also on my Instagram in the beginning when I talked about true sidereal. Why? I mean, the vast majority was actually very positive feedback, but there were some like kind of like, yeah, this is all bullshit and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I had to be with those uncomfortable feelings. And okay, I'm not going to just derail from my truth now, because there are some people that wholeheartedly disagree with me and they are telling me they have the truth. So I think it's amazing if you feel this calling to bring true sidereal more into the world, and I highly support you. I also want to mention, just to kind of put the seed out there is a new human design certification coming by the end of this year, beginning of next year, where I will teach about all of this, my new way of how I see human design, and also with all these different versions of astrology behind it, how to use it in your business, how to read these different kind of charts, how to really create a transformation with your client. And I'm also going to bring into that principles from Kabbalah as well, because they are so powerful, especially when it comes to business. And also in particular, like how to be a good coach. Because I have been a trained coach for so many years, and human design, we can often get into this like just throwing information at people, and that is really not helpful. So I will really teach you how to be an amazing coach, intuitive coach, using tools like human design, and also how you can also bring in the gene keys with that and everything. So stay on the lookout for that. I probably at some point going to put out a wait list for that. This has also come about because my students and clients have asked me for it. And I have taken it slowly consciously because I have done with one of my friends and business partners before a human design certification, which was also amazing. But I'm in a very different space now. And this is really going to be my interpretation of how I see human design. And I really feel like it's going to benefit the most people in the world. And it feels deeply uncomfortable, I can tell you that, because it's so radically different than what the traditional human design books are teaching us. So I hope this inspires you. And if you have any kind of questions, always feel free to reach out to me. I wish you the most tremendous success for yourself in your business. And always my invitation is like, trust what feels right to you, and especially if it feels uncomfortable. So with that, I'm sending you all my love and all my blessings, and I'll see you again on the next episode.